Hello to all astrology enthusiasts. In this video, I want to discuss the transit of the planet Venus through the zodiac sign Taurus. And on June 6, 2025, Venus finally changed signs. It spent a very long time in Aries, returned to Pisces, and now has moved into its own domain, the zodiac sign Taurus. The transit of Venus in Taurus will last until July 4, 2025. And before we discuss its features, let's recall what Venus is generally responsible for in astrology, in our lives, how its energies manifest in our lives, and how we can ground them to our advantage. Have you ever wondered why around certain people, even the simplest things start to look beautiful? Why is it that some people know how to enjoy the moment as if it were an art form? Well, that's exactly the energy of Venus, not some kind of magic. That's precisely how Venusian energy manifests itself. And in astrology, it symbolizes the ability to feel the zest for life. It governs what we love, how we attract, what we consider valuable in our lives, and how we express our charm. Venus is about pleasure, about beauty, about a vibration that doesn't require any effort from it simply exists. Venus is not about hustle and bustle. It's all about taste. It's that very feeling when you choose not out of calculation, but by the call of your heart, your body, your mood. And Venus is that inner sense of sensuality we have, the ability to be attractive without struggle, without strain, without the need to prove anything. It's like our inner music. It's about how we love not just people, but how we love ourselves, how we love food, fabrics, touch, silence, morning, evening, art, form. And this is our deeply ingrained ability to truly experience pleasure. In the natal chart, Venus shows where it is important for us to feel beauty, love, and harmony. That is in the house of the horoscope where it is located. That's where we long for gentleness, recognition, and elegance. And taking into account the zodiac sign, it indicates how we love and how we want to be loved. For example, Venus in Libra is about refinement, about style, and about the theme of partnership. It colors our love scenarios, our taste, our attitude toward money, and in general, how we value ourselves. Venus simply cannot stand being denied the right to desire in any way. That is, it withers when Venusian pleasure is replaced or substituted with should, must, or have to. And she loves it when we choose, not because we have to, but because we truly want to. It's this inner deep feeling of wanting to desire. When Venusian energy is under tension, we can feel and see where we are not receiving joy, pleasure, or enjoyment, where we feel unworthy of love, or on the contrary, where we get stuck in some kind of dependency, like, for example, on external approval, or where our true passion gets confused with attachment. And it is precisely in these moments that Venus offers us a way to gently heal these problematic areas by recognizing our own worth, by restoring our sense of appreciation for ourselves. In other words, she doesn't heal us with logic. She heals us through touch, through feelings, through beauty, through the pleasures that we allow ourselves to experience and live. If there comes a time in our lives when we feel bored or things seem bland or dry, when there are no emotions, this is a clear invitation to return to our Venus, to ourselves, to our bodies, to our desires, to the mirror where we like what we see, to the little things that bring us joy. Venus is not about excess. It is precisely about our obvious right to live with pleasure. Because it is precisely through the energy of Venus that not only love for another person is revealed, but also respect and self-worth for ourselves. And when this energy flows freely in our lives, everything starts to be attracted to us more easily and effortlessly. Naturally, this applies to feelings, romantic experiences, and money as well. Because the true luxury of this Venusian energy is that it doesn't need to do anything. It just needs to exist, to enjoy itself, and to take pleasure. In general, Venus in astrology is the voice of desire. It is the energy of love, sensuality, aesthetics, beauty, comfort, and value. And whenever we hear the phrase, I like this, that's an expression of Venusian energy. When we are in love, when our bodies respond to touch, when we are captivated by beautiful music, or when we savor our favorite cup of coffee in the morning, this is all the realm of Venus. It's as if she connects our physical being with our emotions. She links our inner world with the sensation of pleasure. It is precisely through Venusian energy that we learn to make choices in our lives. And it's not just about choosing what's good, but about choosing what truly makes us feel alive, what fills us up, what brings us back to ourselves. She governs our affections, the way we want to be loved. And Venus is the planet of mirrors. In other words, the way I treat myself is the way others treat me. If I don't value myself, if I don't see the worth in what I receive, then accordingly others mirror that back to us. If I value myself, know how to give and receive, and I'm able to be in a healthy exchange, then in turn we also receive. Venus rules two signs, Taurus and Libra. In Taurus, Venus is earthy and physical. She is about sensual pleasures, about touch, scents, delicious food, comfort, and a very slow pace, where you can just pause and savor the taste of life. In Libra, Venus is more social, more airy, and more harmonious. Here, it's about the aesthetics of relationships, about the subtlety of communication, the beauty of gestures, the beauty of words, about balance. And while Venus in Taurus tells us, it feels good to me, Venus in Libra tells us, it's beautiful. The distinctive feature of Venus in Taurus, and this transit, is that the planet of love is in its own domicile. Here, it expresses its qualities to the fullest, giving us a steady sense of beauty. It gives us a deep attachment to the material world. It activates our ability to create an atmosphere of comfort and security around us. And Venus in Taurus manifests itself precisely through a love of stability and loyalty. It knows how to appreciate beauty in all its forms, from art to everyday little things. And this is an energy that absolutely does not tolerate haste or fleeting emotions. She prefers very deep and reliable connections during this transit, a slow enjoyment of life. And imagine Venus in Taurus as a true queen of sensuality. She enchants slowly but confidently, with both gentleness and strength at the same time. She's like a slow waltz in a luxurious hall where every note sounds so beautiful that you want to experience it again and again. It's as if she tells us, slow down, take it easy, feel the taste of life, the earth beneath your feet, silk on your skin, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. In other words, her energy is like an oasis for our soul, a place where there is no room for chaos or hustle-only harmony, only the enjoyment found in every detail. Of course, during this transit, in the context of relationships, Venus is not just about sensuality. Here, she is truly a symbol of stability and loyalty in love. So, during this transit, we want to build relationships on a very solid foundation of trust and care. Here, the feelings associated with Venus are deep and reliable. That is, we don't rush headlong into emotions as we might with Venus in Aries, but on the contrary, we very carefully choose those to whom we are ready to open our hearts. And in this position, during such a transit, Venus gives us the opportunity to create comfort, balance, and beauty in our relationships. And this is a kind of energy that is very slow but focused on stability, steadiness, long-term prospects, and reliability. How will the energies of Venus in Taurus manifest on 3 levels: mental, emotional, and physical? First of all, on the mental level, the energies of Venus in Taurus are expressed through stable and practical thinking, which is directly related to matters of comfort, security, and beauty. Here, we will value stability and tried and true ideas more. We will want to plan them more carefully, to think our actions through more thoroughly. Moreover, we will do this very meticulously and avoid any spontaneous decisions. In other words, during this transit, we will have a constant drive for harmony. We will want to delve deeper into questions of aesthetics and traditions, and we will want to appreciate art more. We will be inclined to think specifically about material well-being and steady development. Our thinking will be focused on generating ideas that will work in the long term, that will bear fruit. If we talk about the emotional level, here the energy of Venus in Taurus manifests as a very deep, calm, and reliable attachment. Feelings are stable, feelings are measured. We don't want sudden mood swings like, for example, with Venus in Aries. We are more emotionally stable during this transit. It is important for us to feel safe. It is important for us to feel stability in relationships, to feel that we are loved and valued for who we are. And during this transit, we tend to express our emotions through actions, through care, attention, and support rather than through loud words or bursts of passion, like, for example, with Venus in Aries. That is, for us, feelings and love during this transit need to be constant. There must be loyalty here. We need to be devoted, and accordingly, we expect the same from our partner. If we talk about the physical level, Venus in Taurus gives us a pronounced sensuality and the ability to enjoy all of our senses. We love to eat delicious food, we love touch, we want more pleasant scents, we want a more comfortable environment around us. Our body craves more relaxation, more pleasure. This could be massages, aromatherapy, music, or nature. Here, it's important to nurture your aesthetic sense, for example, through your clothing style or through the company you keep. During this transit, physical comfort is especially important to us so that we feel good, so that we have a sense of well-being and inner harmony. How do Venus energies work in their positive and negative aspects? The positive manifestations of Venus in Taurus are about stability and steadiness, about deeply enjoying material pleasures, tactile sensations, scents, and food. It's about sensuality, about the ability to express your love through touch. It's about balance in relationships, equal energy exchange in relationships, patience and persistence in achieving your goals, the ability to create comfort and coziness, and to appreciate simple, natural beauty and quality. It's about the reliability and strength of our connections and the capacity for truly long-term and sincere feelings. The negative manifestations of Venus in Taurus are stubbornness, conservatism, resistance to change and new experiences, excessive attachment to material comfort, greed, possessiveness, fear of losing stability, emotional closeness, or fear of taking risks, for example, in romantic relationships, even something as simple as meeting new partners. This includes laziness, sluggishness, and limiting one's own freedom because of getting stuck in certain attachments. It also means having difficulty adapting to everyday life. Now let's look at the significant aspects Venus will make throughout its entire transit through the sign of Taurus. Let's start with the fact that Venus begins on June 6th with a square to retrograde Pluto in Aquarius. And here, this aspect brings an energy. Imagine a situation where you're at a rock concert of emotions, where love and power are just fighting it out on the same stage. Here, Venus, who loves comfort, beauty, and stability, comes face to face with Pluto, the master of our deep transformations, control, and hidden passions. And the energy of this aspect is very tense, it's highly provocative, and it can be both toxic and magnetic at the same time. In real life, situations involving jealousy, manipulation in relationships, power struggles in relationships or finances, some secret intrigues, or uncomfortable truths may surface truths that expose our old illusions and force us to move to a new level. In other words, this is a moment when the sweet life can simply turn into playing with fire. And here it's important to be mindful to understand how this energy works. Because if you experience it negatively, Venus instantly transforms from the goddess of beauty into the mistress of drama. She dramatizes things. And the exact aspect will occur on June 9th. On that very day, by the way, Jupiter changes zodiac signs and moves into Cancer. I also really like to pay attention to the aspects that planets make with fixed stars or asteroids. And here, at the initial stage of its transit, Venus forms two trines to two fixed stars. This star is Sinistra, and here such an aspect arises as we get a moment of pleasant surprise from our destiny, which kind of throws a dose of luck into our lives. This is especially evident in matters of love and finances. The most important thing is to look at the aspects in your natal chart and pay attention to whether the aspect synchronizes with your natal chart. If it does, then it will work in your life. And here, with this aspect, Venus seems to whisper to us, let's do everything beautifully and reliably. And the Sinistra star adds its own cosmic bonus here, bringing in the energy of success, growth, and ambition. In other words, this aspect acts like a magical talisman in our lives, helping us attract desired opportunities, enhance our charm, and create beneficial partnerships and alliances. This is especially true for everything related to money, social status, and feelings. In reality, under this aspect, new useful acquaintances may appear. We may receive support from influential people. We might also experience a surge of inspiration for new creative projects that will bring stable income in the future. And here in this aspect, you just need to catch the wave. You shouldn't be afraid to take the best from life, because luck is at its peak right now. And it is precisely this trine of Venus with Sinistra that makes these energies work for us. Overall, the star Sinistra in astrology is one of the fixed stars, and it is associated with the energy of power, leadership, and influence. It brings vibrations of ambition, the drive for success, and the pursuit of social significance into our lives. And in general, Sinistra symbolizes the ability to demonstrate strong will, confidence, and the skill to achieve one's goals, specifically through charisma and strategic thinking. At the same time, it can also activate a desire for control or the need to build authority through responsibility and discipline. In other words, its energy is associated with professional achievements, career advancement, and the ability to attract influential patrons. On the positive side, this energy helps to reveal leadership qualities and achieve recognition. On the negative side, of course, it indicates a tendency to be overly controlling and to create tense relationships with those around you. An additional layer of energy is added here by another trine of Venus with the star Regulus, and it's like an invitation to a royal ball, where passion, honor, and style reign. Here, Venus generously adds sensuality and pleasure to the fire, while the star Regulus is truly a king among stars, radiating power, leadership, and nobility. Together, they create a positive energy that not only attracts lasting love and beauty into our lives, but also turns them into a true celebration of personal dignity and charisma. During such moments under this aspect, It is very easy to win attention and respect, whether in business, relationships, or creative and social projects. In real life situations under this aspect, you might land a lucrative contract, step out into the world with the confidence of a king or queen, or find a partner who is not just a lover, but also an ally and a source of inspiration. This aspect is like putting on a luxurious suit that fits perfectly, and at that moment, the whole world starts to adjust to our style, to our energy. And here we need to be ready to shine. On June 7th, a sextile between Venus and Mercury in Gemini opens up. This is an aspect that feels like a cocktail of intellect and sensuality, where our thoughts meet our desires, and our words are filled with flavor and warmth. Mercury, in its lively, light, and playful Gemini mode, sparks conversations, ideas, and communication. And Venus, steady in Taurus, brings depth, beauty, and practicality into this flow. So our speech becomes not just intelligent, but also charming. Every word is like a little gift that you just want to keep receiving, listening to over and over again. Is the perfect moment to express your feelings beautifully with charisma. This applies to personal relationships as well as partnerships, business, work, and any creative initiatives. And in real life, this aspect can bring us very pleasant encounters, flirting, successful negotiations, and the ability to reach agreements where both sides come out ahead. The secret of this sextile lies in the harmony between our thoughts and our taste, between our desires and our logic. The exact aspect will occur on June 11th, right on the day of the full moon in Sagittarius. On the same day, Venus forms an opposition to the retrograde asteroid Vesta in Scorpio. And here, with this aspect, we get an energy of passion and stability between which a real duel takes place. Because Venus in Taurus is all about comfort, it's about pleasure. And Vesta, the asteroid Vesta in Scorpio, especially in retrograde, is about depth, transformation, secret vows we make, and sacrifice. And the retrograde motion adds a moment when we need to pause and carefully rethink and reconsider everything related to our priorities in love and the topic of loyalty. The aspect is tense. It creates tension between the desire to hold on to the familiar and the necessity to dive into our emotional depth. Sometimes these depths are very painful, but this is necessary for cleansing, for rebirth. In life, this can manifest as an internal conflict between comfort and sacrifice for something greater, between superficial pleasure and deep personal transformation. Here we are encouraged not to be afraid to go deep into the depths of our feelings, and at the same time not to lose touch, so to speak, with earthly joy. Here we can either sacrifice stability in order to do this inner work, or we learn to let both passion and calmness into our lives at the same time. In other words, these are very contradictory energies. Be sure to check whether this aspect is synchronized with your natal chart. On June 10th, an explosive cocktail will be added to these energies by the opposition of Venus and Lilith in Scorpio. And here it's about forbidden desires and the struggle for freedom and for love. Venus in Taurus wants peace, it wants comfort, a sense of security. But Lilith in Scorpio stirs up the fire of our secret passions to the level of pure mysticism. It gives us a rebellious inner revolt against any kind of limitation. Considering that this opposition, this aspect, is a moment much like dancing on the edge of a knife cut between the desire to be loved and the fear of losing oneself in a relationship. The energy of this aspect does not like compromise. Either you play by Venus's rules, seeking stability, comfort, and tenderness, or you plunge into Lilith's world of the forbidden, the dark and wild, untamed passions. In real-life situations, this aspect can be associated with very sudden conflicts arising from jealousy, manipulation, and secret desires. When our personal energy and boundaries are tested, our trust is challenged, and our personal freedom is restricted. In other words, this is a moment when we may encounter the dark side of our own love or our partner's love and discover how ready we are to accept all of this, how prepared we are to experience these energies, and what we actually need to do to reach a genuine level of true love, so that we don't have to go through these kinds of states. On June 12th, we have a trine between Venus and the retrograde asteroid 4 in Capricorn. And what is this about? Considering that Venus is about stability, if we talk about the asteroid 4 in Capricorn, this is the energy of long-term commitments, pragmatism, and showing respect for the structures in our lives, whether that's family or some kind of business partnership. And together, united in a trine, it's as if they are telling us that love is not just about emotions, it's also about respect, order, and seriousness. With this aspect, it's very easy to build strong relationships, invest effort into them, and create something truly valuable, something lasting and enduring. In real-life situations, this aspect may manifest as us rethinking our feelings, returning to old partners or projects, but this time in order to do everything truly, properly, and beautifully. In other words, this is a moment when our pleasure and our sense of responsibility go hand in hand. It is precisely with this aspect, with this energy, that true value and true beauty are born. On June 13th, Venus aligns with the fixed star Metala in Taurus. And here, this conjunction brings a very powerful charge of beauty, confidence, and an alluring magnetism into our lives. In general, Metala is a star that symbolizes resilience, determination, and steadfastness. Venus in Taurus is the very essence of sensuality, and together they create a blend of inner richness and outward brilliance. It's a time when we not only enjoy life, but also know how to stand up for our values with firmness, even with a certain flair. In real life, this aspect can trigger moments when we express our uniqueness very vividly and, so to speak, become the center of attention. At the same time, we radiate this sense of reliability. It's a moment when love and beauty simply merge with our personal strength and determination. If someone, so to speak, challenges us at this moment, we simply take control of the situation and resolve it with inner calm. That is, even with this aspect, we can enjoy this energy because these qualities of ours manifest in real situations. On June 19th, we have an opposition between Venus and the retrograde asteroid Juno in Scorpio. Juno has returned to Scorpio from Sagittarius, and this is a truly powerful challenge for our relationships and our personal boundaries. Juno in Scorpio in general is about passion, depth, questions of loyalty, control, and trust in personal relationships, in the intimate sphere of life, in emotions. And it kind of forces us to look inside ourselves, to reconsider our expectations from personal relationships, to uncover some hidden fears and doubts. Considering that here there is an opposition with Venus in Taurus, with the theme of stability and comfort, it's simply a clash of two completely opposite worlds. Because Venus here wants peace and tenderness, comfort. She is, so to speak, as balanced as possible. But Juno in Scorpio needs emotional depth, some kind of personal transformation. And in life, there may be situations when it seems to us that our partner is too demanding of us, or on the contrary, we feel restricted. In other words, there is an internal conflict between the desire to be loved easily, simply, and this necessity to go through the fire of trials and changes in personal relationships. This aspect, as it were, doesn't let us relax. It demands honesty. It requires us to test our feelings, to reassess our expectations, and, for example, the terms of our personal relationships. And here, there may be these intense little conversations, dialogues with emotional ups and downs, where we need to understand ourselves and our partner more deeply. But it is precisely in these states that either true intimacy is born, the real strength that binds a union together, or we realize that we need to leave the relationship. On June 20th, Venus will align with another star, the star Almach, and will bring simply extraordinary magic to matters of love and beauty. Almach is a star of duality, contrasts, a kind of mystical connection between opposites. Venus itself represents tenderness, sensuality, and a desire for material comfort. When it aligns with this star, Venus's energy acquires a special depth, a unique mystery. Here, displays of love become not just pleasant, they are filled with symbolism. They give us the opportunity to experience a certain personal transformation, either through relationships or through creative self-expression. And in real life situations, this might look like meeting someone who seems both very close to you and at the same time very mysterious. This is a moment when our beauty, it's a moment when beauty and pleasure in general align with our inner states. It's a moment when you want to both enjoy yourself and at the same time dive deeper into your feelings and sense that, for example, in personal relationships, there is a powerful potential for growth and change. And Almach, as it were, gives Venus a touch of intrigue, a kind of mystical charm. There can really be unexpected discoveries in your feelings here. It's a subtle play with emotions, especially in romantic relationships. On June 23rd, Venus will make two harmonious aspects to the karmic nodes. This will be a trine to the south node and a sextile to the north node. And let me remind you, the south node is in Virgo and the north node is in Pisces. The aspects will create a gentle yet very deep flow of energy that will help us process some past lessons and guide us toward higher spiritual values. Because after all, we're talking about the lunar karmic nodes. And all of this will happen through the expression of true love. That is, here the South Node in Virgo will remind us that we are letting go of old habits. We are releasing certain moments of criticism, excessive irrationality, and all of that, they have served their purpose. And the North Node in Pisces, it's as if it gently draws us toward a state of intuition, acceptance, and compassion. It's as if it wants us to open our hearts, wants us to have a kind of spiritual connection with the world. And this aspect serves as a reminder that we need to love ourselves and those around us through practicality and care, but at the same time not forget about inner depth. And in real life, we simply realize that some small material comforts, some simple joys take on a much greater meaning in our lives, and we show more empathy. So this aspect is really good for building relationships in a beautiful way, with the expression of this state of empathy, with sincerity and a kind of heartfelt generosity. On June 27th, we have a square aspect with the retrograde asteroid Pallas in Taurus. This is a very ambiguous aspect. It's a tense, energetic charge that raises questions about the balance between our personal attachment to something, or rather our desire for independence and ideals. This can manifest in any area, but more often, of course, we're talking about personal relationships under Venus. Pallas in Aquarius is considered a symbol of strategic thinking. It's a fight for justice, a fight for intellectual freedom. Here it is retrograde. It adds another aspect of reevaluation and doubts about the correctness of the choices, meaning we start to question whether our chosen principles are right. And since this is a square aspect, it can easily create an internal conflict between the desire to be loved and the need to follow your own unique path, to stand up for your views, and to pursue some unconventional solutions. In real life situations, this can manifest in matters of love and finances. That is, partnerships will require reassessment, where you'll have to choose between comfort and freedom, for example, or between emotions and reason. In other words, with this aspect, we encounter difficulties in balancing the personal and the social. Here, it's important to be as honest with ourselves as possible and to seek compromises so as not to lose our individuality or the ability to interact constructively with those around us. On June 29th, Venus aligns with the star Zodiac, bringing into our lives an energy of harmony, charm, and a calm confidence in personal and financial matters. In general, this star Zodiac is associated with inner strength, honesty, and resilience, and such an alignment helps us express our love and affection very easily, as well as attract people and resources to us thanks to our natural charm and sincerity. There may also be situations where our relationships are strengthened or we receive some advantageous financial opportunities. And Zodiac adds stability. It helps us maintain a balance between passion and practicality, and essentially opens up a period for us that is ideal for long-term investments that will be very favorable and bring a worthy result in the future. On the same day, one of the most striking and intense events of June begins. Venus conjuncts the planet Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And here, of course, a very interesting period awaits us. This conjunction will last for about 10 days and will bring quite an explosive mix of stability and surprises, specifically in the areas and matters of love, money, beauty, and aesthetics. Let me remind you that Uranus is the wind of change. It represents originality, freedom, and unpredictability. And when Uranus meets Venus, the energy literally crackles. Familiar relationships or some of our usual financial patterns can suddenly be transformed. There is a sudden urge to break out of boundaries, to surprise yourself, to surprise others. And under this aspect, you want to experiment with feelings, to try new ways of expressing your love or new ways of earning money. Or you might simply feel a sudden passion for freedom, a desire to break established behavioral patterns and create something unique. In life, this can manifest as very abrupt changes in your personal life. Unexpected financial opportunities, both positive and negative, or some unconventional creative projects that will simply blow up our routine. And this aspect gives off an energy as if we're sitting on a comfortable couch and suddenly all the electronics around us start playing at once. So at the same time, it feels both cozy and exhilarating, familiar and yet wild. These are the kinds of energies that come together, they merge. So be prepared for surprises in love and finances. And the exact aspect will occur on July 4th. After this aspect, Venus will change zodiac signs and move into Gemini. We will definitely talk about this conjunction in additional videos on the channel and look at which houses of the horoscope it will play out in for each of the 12 zodiac signs. On July 1st, 2025, we can expect a conjunction of Venus with the star Algol in Taurus. Algol is a powerful star. Of course, we've all heard a lot about it. And here, this conjunction creates a rather tense and deeply transformative energy in matters of love and our values. In general, Algol is one of the most mystical and highly controversial stars. It is associated with very intense passions, inner turmoil, conflicts, drama, and personal crises. And here, the planet of love, harmony, and pleasure, joining with this star, especially in such a sensual and stable sign as Taurus at first glance, it may seem that the contradictions are intensified. That is, our desire for peace and pleasure will, as it were, be confronted with a challenge with powerful emotional experiences. But this energy also creates the feeling of love as a kind of trial, and our attachments are tested for strength during this conjunction. What once seemed stable and reliable can suddenly reveal some hidden dark sides or create tense situations. In relationships, this may manifest as jealousy, passion, a struggle for power, or fear of loss. And here it is necessary to consciously experience this energy in order to either cleanse oneself or awaken and realize one's true feelings. In the material sphere, for example, this conjunction can bring unexpected financial surges. This could be risky investments, situations where we lose large sums of money, or situations where we have strong impulses to make certain investments. Therefore, it is very important here to keep a cool head, use common sense, and not give in to impulsive decisions. On July 20th, we will have two sextiles, Venus to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And this is a very harmonious, supportive energy, but it is very subtle. Here it's about the fact that Saturn and Neptune in Aries will bring us both energy and determination, as well as spiritual depth all at once into the areas of personal relationships, material comfort, and the themes of pleasure and joy. And this aspect, so to speak, will help us ground our romantic ideals and allow us to give them form and structure. That is, we will have the opportunity to strengthen our personal relationships or certain projects while actually seeing the bigger picture. Here, Venus's practicality is combined precisely with Saturn's discipline. And our dreams, thanks to Neptune, are simply filled with concrete plans. All of these, of course, lays a solid foundation for personal relationships, partnerships, and financial matters. And in the future, we will actually see these forms and structures and feel them physically. The exact aspect occurs on July 6th, merely after which Venus will already be moving through Gemini. Venus will complete its transit through Taurus with a trine to retrograde Pluto in Aquarius. A very cool, deep, and powerful aspect that gives us an energetic flow that allows us to go through transformations in personal relationships, matters of love, and values with great ease. And Venus, after all, is still about groundedness. And Pluto, as we've said, is the force of change, it's liberation, it's those really deep, profound transformations. And considering that this is Aquarius, it's more about freedom. Moreover, Pluto's retrograde here gives us the opportunity to internally process, rethink, and experience truly sincere, profound changes that will manifest specifically in our romantic relationships. Or it could relate to some financial matters. What can this aspect bring? Hidden feelings may surface, ones that have simply remained invisible for a long time. There will be an opportunity to let go of something old in personal relationships. In other words, it's a moment when our sensuality and at the same time our inner resources, when we rely on ourselves, give us powerful support to renew and heal our personal connections, or to sort out financial flows, or to channel this energy into some creative initiatives. That is, in real life situations, we might form deep new connections with important, significant people, rethink some old relationships, or transform certain financial sources and material matters. And the exact aspect will occur on July 7th. Venus will already be in Gemini, but it's important to understand that the aspect will begin earlier and the energy will gradually shift. On July 4th at 18:31, Venus moves into Gemini. And in the next video, we will look at how this transit will manifest for each of the 12 zodiac signs. I wish you success. Subscribe, like, and share this video. See you!